Jorge Mario Bergoglio was born on December 17, 1936, in the Flores neighborhood of Buenos Aires, Argentina. He was the eldest of five children born to Mario and Regina Bergoglio, Italian immigrants who instilled in him the values of hard work, humility, and faith. His early years were marked by simplicity, family warmth, and a strong connection to the working-class world around him. As a young boy, Jorge loved soccer, literature, and spending time with his grandparents. But his life took a serious turn when, at the age of 21, he fell gravely ill with a severe lung infection. Doctors removed part of his right lung, and this experience of fragility and recovery would leave a permanent mark on his spirituality. During this time, he felt a deeper call to religious life. In 1958, Jorge entered the Society of Jesus, known as the Jesuits, an order dedicated to education, intellectual rigor, and missionary work. He studied philosophy and theology, earning degrees in both, and was ordained a priest on December 13, 1969, by Archbishop Ramon José Castellano. As a young Jesuit, Bergoglio served as a teacher of literature, psychology, and theology. But soon, his leadership qualities became evident. At just 36 years old, in 1973, he was appointed the provincial superior of the Jesuits in Argentina, a role that placed him at the heart of the church during one of the darkest periods of Argentina's history. The 1970s in Argentina were marked by political violence, kidnappings, and the so-called Dirty War, when the military dictatorship persecuted thousands of its citizens. Father Bergoglio had to tread carefully, navigating a minefield of danger and fear. Some accused him of not doing enough to oppose the regime, while others praised his quiet efforts to shelter and protect the persecuted. These years would remain a complicated chapter of his life, casting long shadows and debates. After his term as provincial, Bergoglio spent time in theological studies and pastoral work, often living a simple and withdrawn life. In 1992, he was appointed Auxiliary Bishop of Buenos Aires. By 1998, after the sudden death of Cardinal Antonio Quaracino, Bergoglio became the Archbishop of Buenos Aires. As Archbishop, Bergoglio's reputation for humility and connection with the poor deepened. He refused to live in the bishop's palace, choosing instead a modest apartment. He cooked his own meals, rode the bus around the city, and became a familiar figure in the slums, where he ministered to those society often forgot. His commitment to social justice, his emphasis on mercy over judgment, and his austere lifestyle set him apart from many other church leaders. On February 21, 2001, Pope John Paul II elevated him to the College of Cardinals. In Rome, he remained the same quiet, humble figure, declining invitations to lavish dinners and staying in simple accommodations. His low profile belied the respect he had earned from fellow bishops and cardinals around the world. When Pope John Paul II died in April 2005, Bergoglio reportedly received a significant number of votes during the conclave, but he ultimately declined further support, leading to the election of Cardinal Joseph Ratzinger as Pope Benedict XVI. 8 years later, in a move that stunned the world, Pope Benedict XVI announced his resignation on February 11, 2013, citing age and declining health. It was the first papal resignation in nearly 600 years. A new conclave was called to elect his successor. On March 13, 2013, after 2 days and 5 ballots, the cardinals elected Jorge Mario Bergoglio as the 266th pope. He chose the name Francis after Saint Francis of Assisi, the patron saint of the poor, peace, and care for creation. It was the first time a pope had ever taken that name. He was also the first Jesuit pope, the first pope from the Americas, and the first non-European pope in more than 200 years. From the very beginning, Pope Francis signaled a new style of papacy. He appeared on the balcony of St. Peter's Basilica in a simple white cassock, foregoing the ornate red cape worn by his predecessors. He bowed his head before the cheering crowds, asking them to pray for him before he blessed them. His vision for the church was clear: a church of the poor, for the poor. He urged bishops to be shepherds who smell of their sheep. He called for an end to clericalism, excessive bureaucracy, and judgmental attitudes. He emphasized mercy, compassion, and inclusivity. Throughout his pontificate, Francis has made significant gestures and statements that have set him apart. He washed the feet of prisoners and refugees during Holy Thursday services. He opened discussions on sensitive topics such as divorce, remarriage, and same-sex relationships, calling for greater pastoral sensitivity even as he upheld traditional teachings. On June 18, 2015, he released Laudato Si', an encyclical on the environment and humanity's responsibility to care for the planet. He linked ecological destruction with social injustice, criticizing consumerism, corporate greed, and political indifference. His call for urgent action on climate change resonated far beyond Catholic circles, earning praise from scientists, activists, and world leaders. Pope Francis has also sought to reform the Vatican bureaucracy, known as the Roman Curia. He created new financial oversight bodies, streamlined departments, and emphasized transparency. These efforts, however, have met significant resistance, and progress has been slower and more difficult than many had hoped. The clerical sexual abuse crisis has been one of the most painful challenges of his papacy. While he initially faced criticism for slow responses, especially during a 2018 trip to Chile, Francis later apologized to abuse survivors and instituted new policies aimed at holding bishops accountable. Nevertheless, many survivors and advocates continue to push for deeper reforms and greater transparency. Francis has made historic moves in interfaith relations. In February 2019, during a visit to Abu Dhabi, he signed a landmark document on human fraternity with the Grand Imam of Al-Azhar, promoting peace between Christians and Muslims. He has also deepened dialogue with Jews, Buddhists, and other faith communities. In March 2021, he embarked on a historic trip to Iraq, becoming the first pope to visit the country. Amid security concerns and the pandemic, he traveled to sites of destruction and suffering, meeting with Christian and Muslim leaders, and delivering a powerful message of reconciliation and hope. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Francis became a global voice for solidarity, urging people to prioritize the vulnerable, to trust science, and to resist selfishness. His Urbi et Orbi blessing on March 27, 2020, delivered alone in a rain-soaked, empty St. Peter's Square, became one of the most iconic images of the pandemic era, a lonely figure in white praying for the world. Over the years, Pope Francis has published several major documents, including Amoris Laetitia in 2016, focusing on family life and love, Fratelli Tutti in 2020, emphasizing fraternity and social friendship, and Predicate Evangelium in 2022, reforming the structure of the Roman Curia. Despite his popularity with many, Pope Francis has faced criticism from both traditionalists who view him as too progressive and progressives who feel he has not moved far enough on issues like women's ordination, LGBTQ inclusion, and church governance. Through it all, he remains consistent in his message. The church must be a field hospital close to the wounded. It must be open, welcoming, and missionary, not turned inward. As he moves into the later years of his papacy, Pope Francis continues to challenge, to inspire, and to provoke conversation. His legacy will likely be one of bridging worlds, between rich and poor, tradition and change, faith and action. Jorge Mario Bergoglio, the son of immigrants, the Jesuit priest from Buenos Aires, the bishop of the slums, now stands as one of the most influential voices of our time. His life reminds us that leadership rooted in humility, courage, and mercy can indeed change the course of history. In a world hungry for authenticity, Pope Francis offers something rare: a quiet but powerful revolution of the heart.